Hey guys, today we are continuing our discussion of how to collect data with something that I like to call the random rectangles activity. It's going to start out very similarly to the Beyonce activity that we did yesterday, but it's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to collect data and put it on the board. I'm going to give you guys some instructions on how to do some of this stuff, but for the most part, this is a very self-guided activity. But I'll just keep watching. Don't worry. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is a judgment sample. We talked about this in Beyonce activity. You guys should hopefully know what that is, where you're just picking 5 rectangles that in your judgment represent all of the rectangles in the big list of random rectangles that you got. So in this packet, you have the first page, the random rectangles activity, but if you flip over to the back of that, you just have a piece of paper that has all of these random rectangles on it, okay? So you're just going to pick 5 at random, any 5 that you have here, and then you are going to write down in those blanks right here how much, what is the area of each rectangle, okay? So if your rectangle is a 2 by 2, the area would be 4. If your rectangle is a 3 by 3, your rectangle would be a 9. Okay, so you're going to put the numbers of your rectangles here in these 5 spaces, and then you're going to find the average of those rectangles, okay? Afterwards, so pause the video, do that, unpause, come back. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you pause it, now you're back. So now we are going to do a simple random sample, which we know based off what we've had in the past, this one is probably going to be a little bit more accurate representation of our overall set of rectangles. So what we're going to do is the first thing you need to do is to number all of those rectangles from 1 to 100. Don't worry, I've got time. Push pause, get it done, and then come back. Now we're going to use a random number table to choose 5 rectangles at random. So we've already talked in the Beyonce activity that we could find a random numbers using our random number generator in our calculator, okay? Well, another way to do randomization, and this is a very common tool that they show you on the AP exam, so that's why we're talking about this today, is to use a random number table. So to do that, at the front of the room where my formula charts are stored, hopefully we've done this before to where you guys get your little packet of your formula charts, and there's a yellow piece of paper that's got it's called Table B, the table of random digits, and it looks like this, okay? It might be, no, actually this is it, it's just all black and white, whereas mine is in color, okay? So by now, all of your rectangles are numbered from 1 to 100, okay? So, and hopefully we've continued with our random seating chart. If not, I'm not going to judge, but I'm going to pretend for a second that you guys were all randomly chosen to sit in the seat that you are sitting in today. Okay, so luckily I number my seats, so all of your desks should have a number, and this number you were randomly assigned because that's the random seat that you were assigned for today. Okay, so I want you to go to whatever number you are. For example, let's say that you were in desk number 35, which I know I don't have anybody in desk 35, but that's okay. Here is row 35, so that's what I'm going to look at. In row 35, I have all of these numbers right here. Okay. So my rectangles are numbered from 0 to 100, okay? I'm going to kind of go down a little bit. There we go. So all of my rectangles are numbered from, I'm sorry, not from 0 to 100, but from 1 to 100. But if I look at these numbers, okay, and it's actually kind of good that the first 2 numbers are a repeat, does that mean I use 6 and 6? Like, that's the same rectangle. I don't want to use rectangle 6 twice. I want to use 2 different rectangles. So when we are using a random number table, it's very unique in that the numbers that you look at have to have the same number of digits. Here's what I mean. So our rectangles are numbered from 0 to 100, okay? Well, I could also have labeled my rectangles as 001 to 100. And what I mean is with this 001, if I call rectangle 1, I'm going to think of that as 001, rectangle 2 is 002, all the way up to like 003, boop, 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 and then when I get to 10, 010. I'm doing this because each label has the same number of digits to label the number itself, but they all represent different rectangles, okay? Even if I wanted rectangle number 57, boop, 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 boop. That'd be 0, 5, 7. And I do this because the last number that I want to go to is 100, which already has 3 digits. So now all of my rectangles, I want to look at them as all having the same number of digits. Okay? So what that means is when I go over here, okay, my row is 135. This is my row. I want to look for numbers in groups of 3 that are going to represent my rectangles from 0 to, or from 1 to 100. Okay? So for right now, what I'm going to do, and everybody's going to do this for their own row. So everyone's row is going to be a little bit different. Everyone's row is going to have slightly different numbers. They're supposed to. This is a table of random digits where literally someone just put out a bunch of random numbers in groups of 5 so we can keep track. Okay? So what we're going to do is, and remember, we're looking at these in groups of 3. So 6, 6, 9, that's a group of 3. 2, 5, and then this 5 right here is another group of 3. Okay? Yes, I realize that that's all the way over there. I'm aware of that. They only group the numbers by 5 here just to make it easier to read the chart. If they group them, if they just had the numbers like all the way across, people would get lost a little bit easier. Okay? So what I want you to do is do groups of 3. So there's a group of 3. Here's a group of 3. Here's a group of 3. 8, 3, 9. There's a group of 3. There's a group of 3. Group of 3. Group of 3. Another group of 3. Group of 3. I'm going to go all the way across here. So group of 3. There's 3. There's 3. And then 1, 2. There's 3. And I have an extra. I'm going to hold on to that guy. Did I miss any? I think let's see if I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yeah, that makes sense because 3 doesn't go into 40 evenly. Okay, so now in my rectangles, in my numbers here, I want to look for groups of numbers that would represent the rectangles that I have labeled. Now, I have labeled rectangles that are numbered strictly from 1 to 100. So there's going to be a lot of numbers on my table of random digits that don't apply to my set of rectangles, okay? And that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to keep going until we get as many rectangles as we need. So 6, 6, 9, that is outside of 1 to 100. So I don't want that. 2, 5, 5, again, don't want that. 5, 6, 5, too big. 8, 3, 9, too big. Ooh, 100. That's going to be my first one. I want to use that. So the first rectangle that I'm going to select is rectangle number 100. That is for me personally, okay? That is going to be different for this should be a different number for every single group or every single person. You could have some similar numbers. You could have a couple of numbers be exactly the same, but everybody should have a slightly different number. Okay, so I've got one rectangle. I need how many? I need 5. Okay, let's keep going. 784, nope, that won't work. 581, nope. 120, we're close but not quite. 619, nope. 876, nope. 871, nope. 513, nope. 126, nope. Okay, now this one is a trailing 0 here, so I'm going to count this as 1. And then I'm going to go down to the next row down here, the next row below my row, and I'm going to continue counting in groups of 3. I need to do this until I get all 5 rectangles. I need to get all 5 numbers that represent one of the 100 rectangles. So 0, 0, 8. Here I'm going to kind of erase this little X right here. I realize that that's going to, so I had these, so I couldn't use those. Okay, so 0, 0, 8. That's my, oh, look, that's another group of 3. And that's also 0, 0, 8. That's a rectangle number 8. So 0, 0, 8 is my next rectangle. Perfect. 4, 2, 1, that doesn't work. 4, 4, 7, nope. 5, 3, 7, nope. 7, 37, nope. Those are all grounded anyway. Ha ha ha, little airplane humor for you. 728, nope. 744, nope. 755, nope. 920, nope. This could take a while, and that's okay. 379, nope. 140, nope. 924, nope. 545, nope. Okay, so you get the idea of what I'm doing here. So I'm going to keep going here until I get 5 rectangles that fit my data set. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this and then come right back to the video. You can pause it, whatever you want to do. Okay, all right, so I'm going along here, and somewhere I've miscounted my little rectangles here, or not my rectangles, my little groups of 3. But I realized, like, oh, man, I've already gone through 4 rows of numbers. This is going to take a while. Like, why wouldn't I just do a calculator? Okay, well, I wonder if there's maybe a better way to do this. I still want to use my random rectangle. I want to use my random number table, but maybe there's a better way. Okay, so let's start back over here. Okay, let's think about this. I only want to go from 1 to 100. Now, originally, I have them all labeled as 001 up to 100. Like, I'm using 3 digits. But by using 3 digits, the problem that I'm having over here is that 3-digit numbers, these can go all the way up to 999. And I only really need from 001 to 100. So I only need 10% of the numbers that are possible that I could go to. And so this is taking kind of a long time. And I know some of you guys are like, Murphin, what are you doing? This is taking forever. So let's think of it this way. Okay, we know that whenever we label our numbers, we have to use the same number of digits. Okay, so let's just do this. Let's, instead of using 3 digits for our rectangles from 1 to 100, what if we only used 2 digits? Okay, so rectangle number 1 is 01, rectangle 2 is 02, 03, ... up to 10, 11, that's normal. The problem is after 99, well shoot, 100 is supposed to be 3 digits, okay? Well, instead, let's just consider 100 as 00. Everybody okay with that? This still technically represents rectangle number 100, but for the sake of this table and making life a little bit easier, we're just going to give them 2 digits apiece, okay? So now, instead of looking at groups of 3 on my random number table, which is really good, probably if I had 1,000 rectangles and I wanted to go from 1 to 1,000, and so I could go from like 001 to 999 and then like 000 for the last one, then I would probably still do it in groups of 3. But I'm realizing that it's probably better in this situation. Let's just look at groups of 2, because then I'll probably get some numbers a lot faster. Okay, so groups of 2. So I'm going to go 66, 92, 55, 56, 58, 39, 10, 7, 84. Okay, so looking at my groups of 2 here, let's see. So I've got 66, that works. So the first rectangle I'm going to look at is 66, and then 92, and then 55, 56, this was 58, and I only need one more. Oh, 39. Do you see how much faster that went? See how much quicker that was? And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, I was thinking to myself, like, man, Murphin, you're really struggling here. There's bound to have been a better way to do this. Well, even if you're only going to 100 things, it's probably better to just stick with 2-digit labels instead of 3-digit labels. Okay? So now I'm going to continue with my, going back to my simple random sample. Okay? And on my simple random sample, now these are the rectangles I'm using for my simple random sample. Okay, you are going to find all of those rectangles on your paper. So depending on how you numbered your rectangles, you're going to take the area of those 5 rectangles, and those are going to go right here on your simple random sample, and then you're going to put an average here. Okay, when you are, so pause the video, do that, and then click unpause whenever you're ready to come back. Afterwards, you are going to do the cluster random sample. The cluster random sample is on this page. All of your rectangles have been grouped into clusters. You are going to label all of your clusters 1 to 20. So here's a cluster, here's a cluster, here's a cluster, Here's a cluster. However you want to number them is fine, but you're going to number those clusters from 1 to 20. And then you are going to use the random number table to choose one cluster. Okay, well, if you started out on the random number table, let's see, let's go back to that. I was using row 135 earlier. I'm going to just go down one more row, okay, because now I want something else. So I'm going to go down one more row and do this one. Now, all of my clusters have been numbered from 1 to 20. I need to think of each of those as having a 2-digit number. So I've got cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 10, all the way up to 20. Okay, so I need to pick just one cluster. Oh, look, the first number I get is 08. So I'm going to go with cluster number 8. That's the cluster that I want. Now, let's say I was in row, let's say I had been in row 139. And I went here and row 50, and like this one, the first numbers I had were 55. 55 is not a cluster number that I need. So I have to go until I find one between 1 and 20. So 55, 58, 89, 94. Ooh, 04. I'm going to go with that one. Okay. Again, everybody should have a slightly different number that they're picking. Okay. So once you've picked your cluster, go back to your random rectangles. My cluster was number 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just say that this was cluster number 8 for me. I'm going to use these 5 rectangles, and that's going to go in this spot right here, cluster random sample. Okay, and find the average area and put that here. Okay, after that, you're going to go, so pause the video, do that, come back. Then you're going to go to stratified sample. Suppose someone shakes the rectangles, causing the larger ones to sink and the smaller ones to rise. The stratified rectangles are the result with lines drawn dividing the rectangles into 5 regions. So you've got the stratified sample of rectangles, okay? Number those regions from 1 to 5. All right. And then, oh, I'm sorry, not 1 to 5. Number the rectangles in each region separately, starting with 1. Use a random number table to choose one rectangle at random from each region. Locate the corresponding rectangles and record their size and find the mean. So repeat using the random number table procedure again with just 2 digits, like from 0, 1 to 20. Okay, you're going to copy those averages onto the stratified random sample and again find the average. The last one is the systematic random sample. Use a random number table to choose number between 1 and 20. This is the first rectangle. Now add 20 to each previous number to find the other 4 rectangles. Using the original random rectangles, locate the corresponding rectangles and record their size and find the mean. Okay, so for this one, I want you to use your random number table. You can use the same row that you were using before, or you can start over on a new row. You take your pick. It's random either way. You are going to select a, you're going to use the random number table to select a number between 1 and 20. And that's going to be your quote, I like to call that special number. Okay. So let's say, for example, I used my random number table. Here, let's do that. So let's, I haven't used 138 yet. Let's use 138. So going by 2, 66, 83, oops, 16. Boom. 16 is my special number. So random rectangles. So I've got rectangle number 16. I want to add 20 to each previous number to find the other 4 rectangles. So if this is rectangle 16, that means I want rectangle 36 because I added 20, and then 56, 76, and 96. So I need to go find these 5 rectangles and write their areas here, okay, and then find the average of those areas. Okay. So these were all different ways to find a random sample from a collection of items. And in this case, it was a random rectangle collection. Okay, so what you want to do on this page right here, Student analysis of methods. I want you to describe each method for all, like describe a simple random sample, describe a cluster random sample, describe a stratified random sample, using your words, okay? Write the advantages, write what you think are the disadvantages. I want you to spend some time with this, okay? Just talk with your neighbor, talk with a friend, figure out what these are. This is not, these are your thoughts, okay? I want to know what you feel is your understanding of what this is. After you are done with this, I have a PowerPoint that has all of this filled out for you, okay? I don't want you to go straight to this. I actually really want you to try on the last page to do this on your own. And then when you're done, look at the PowerPoint to go through what all of these are, okay? So I've got them all broken down on a PowerPoint for you guys. Check that in Canvas whenever you're done with this activity. If you still have questions over the different types of sampling, as always, please refer to your textbook, or Prof. Rob Bob has some really great stuff as well. Ask a question of your neighbors if they understand what's going on, you're still struggling a little bit. But yes, go to your textbook, go to the website of Prof. Rob Bob, or even Khan Academy, and if you look up statistics, he's got some stuff on there as well. So today we did another group of different types of sampling, not really anything with volunteer or something like that. These were all the different types of sampling that you can do for our class, okay? Oh, one thing I did want to note real quick at the bottom, multi-stage random sample. Go ahead and write down the description of that method. We probably won't use that very often in our class. We will typically stick with one of the other methods a little bit more often, okay? So that is there for you to look at, but just know that multi-stage isn't something that we do typically very often. All right, guys, have a good one.